This is somehow more books than I thought I would have in this haul, but at the same time, less books than I thought I would have in this haul. Hi everyone, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, and yes, we are doing a little bit of a book haul today. These are the books right behind me. These are the 2 stacks I will be showing you guys. Did I say in my 2025 bookish goals that I would be going on a book buying ban? Yes, I did say that. You know what, roll the clip. The next goal is a book buying ban, except for June and November. When I made my bookish goals for the year, a book buying ban was like no issue. Like I didn't even want to buy books. I had no interest. I was doing perfectly fine. And then something happened and I got really sad. Honestly, I got very upset with like the state of the world basically. The only thing that was making me kind of feel better was shopping and buying books, and I'm not saying it's good. I'm really not. I know it's bad. But like I said, I think this isn't too bad. This could be worse. And yes, this is like the last few months. So it's at least, these are at least since like January, maybe even somewhere like into December. Is it still a lot of books? Yeah, it is still a lot of books. I'm not going to deny that, guys, okay? Bad on my part for buying these books. I still want to show you guys because it's fun. That is what we're here to do. I'm just going to go ahead and run through them. Let me count how many. Let's see. 25, 26. We have 26 books to talk about. So I will make this kind of quick, you know, let's just go through it. Obviously, I just got these books and I have not read any of them yet, and I don't know what a lot of them are about. I'll do my best if I kind of have an idea as to like what they're about, but at the very least, I will tell you why I picked them up. I think it's interesting to know why people pick up books. Let me go ahead and start. I'm just gonna start right here. Oh, I don't know if, I'm not gonna like read these, but yeah, I did get the Constitution and I did get the Supreme Court landmark decisions. I also got a lot of other books that trip when I got these books. A lot of other books. This was like prime sad Angelica. Anyway, okay. First 2 down, that was easy. Easy peasy, you know why I bought these. Now let's actually get into some interesting books. So now we're at 24 books. This book that I got is The Blanket Cat by Kiyoshi Shigematsu. I thought it was really cute. If you didn't know, I'm a huge cat person. I say that I've been a cat person since I came out of the womb. I love cats, and it's really hard for me to like not get every book that has a cat on it, but obviously there's a lot of books that have cats on them, especially like translated fiction. I feel like that is a genre in itself of like translated fiction, specifically Japanese translated fiction with cats on the cover, or the books are about cats. And I do kind of like honestly stay away from those despite the fact that I love cats, because they all seem really sad. I'm very sensitive when it comes to cats, so like if it's a sad story that is about cats, that has cats, like it's not good for me. But this one seems happy. Is it really? I don't know, but it looks happy. Are 3 days with a cat long enough to change a life? Yeah, I think so. I personally think that 3 days is enough time to change your life if you spend those days with a cat. I think this would be a really fun book to get to in like a 24-hour readathon or something like that, because it is pretty short and I don't know, it just seems kind of easy to read. I'm really hoping it is not depressing. It seems like it kind of revolves around this pet shop in Tokyo, and there's like magical cats. Sounds like a good time. I love cats so much. The next book in this haul is Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austen. I've never read anything by Emily Austen, but her books interest me. I can't really explain why, but they do. I love the cover of her newest book that came out, but I ended up going with this one instead. I've heard quite a few people talk about her books, or specifically at least this one, and how they liked it, so I'm excited to get to it as well. The little blurb for this one says, a fast-paced, hilarious, and ultimately hopeful novel for anyone who has ever been worried they might be a terrible person. I feel like that's most people. That blurb actually makes me very glad that I picked it up too. I'm just picking books without even checking what they're about. That's not good, guys. Oh, but yeah, her newest book I think is called We Could Be Rats. I love that cover. This next book I got because I saw Books and Lala read it recently, and she cried during it, and I feel like that doesn't happen. Like, I don't think I've ever seen her cry for a book before, but maybe I don't watch enough of her stuff. And that book is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I don't know. That was enough for me to pick up the book, honestly. I've heard that her other books are good too. I think, oh, she wrote Migrations. I've seen that book before. I think I would like to get to this soon. We'll see how soon, but I would like to get to it. The next book is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. I've heard that this book has a lot to do with art and everything, and I do have a degree in art history actually. So I just kind of like naturally like gravitate towards books about art. I think, obviously, I think it's a very interesting subject. It looks like this book also deals with like grief and stuff, which is another topic that I like to read about. So yes, Martyr. Oh, and also I know a bunch of people have been reading this book recently. I know it was like a pretty popular book that came out last year. The next book I'll probably read more around the fall just because it's like kind of the nature of this book. But that book is Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. This is a book that, I mean, it's everywhere all the time. A lot of people have read this book and I haven't. It is kind of like your original vampire story. It predates Dracula. It's also dark and sapphic, and I love this cover. I think this is a brand new cover and I think it is really fun. I like the sprayed edges. I don't always love sprayed edges on paperbacks. Like, it's, you know, we see it a lot more now, and it's honestly just like not my favorite thing. I like this. I think it's like well done. I like the cover, so I got it. I would love to read this in September, October, because when else are you going to read this book? This next book I actually kind of got at a discount. I think it was in the same trip where I bought Martyr. I was at Barnes & Noble, and since I picked it up from a certain table or something like that, they had other books that you could get at a discount, and this is one of the books that you could choose. So I don't know, it's one I picked up, and that is Dolly Alderton's Good Material. I feel like I've heard like kind of mixed things about this book. I have one friend I think that like really didn't like it, but I don't necessarily know how well our reading tastes align. We're not like identical readers or anything like that. Of course, Dolly Alderton wrote Everything I Know About Love, which is a book that I started to listen to and then at some point put down like a couple years ago, so I need to go back and revisit it. I picked this one up because when I was given the option of all the different books, I was really going to consider it, and then I kind of felt like I was being rushed, so I just like chose it because I was like, well, I know this cover. So now I have it. I don't even remember how much of a discount it was. I was just told it's a discount, go grab it, and I did. I probably could have saved like $5 or however much it was. Honestly, $5 is pretty cheap for a book. So this next book is not one that I've ever seen before, but I saw it at Barnes & Noble. Most of these books are from Barnes & Noble. There's like a little bit of variety, but I'll get to those when we get there. But this was at Barnes & Noble, and it was in the like bookseller recommendations, and I hadn't seen it before and I thought it was interesting. It is nonfiction. It is The Art of Libromancy, Selling Books and Reading Books in the 21st Century by Josh Cook. I just think books are interesting, obviously, but also just because like, I don't know, it's just an interesting topic to me. I didn't know that there was a book about selling books. Again, this is nonfiction, but it's not too long. It doesn't seem too dense or anything like that. I feel like it's going to be insightful just with like all the different book bans and just with how, just like, you know, the state of like reading culture. I think it's going to be an interesting outlook. This next book is another little translated fiction book. It was definitely in the same place as the Blanket Cats, but I believe I got them at separate times. And this is Apartment Women by Gu Byung-mo. It's obviously Korean. The other one is Japanese. This one, I like the cover. That is the main reason why I got it. I like that it was also just like really short. It looks like it won't be too hard to read. It follows these couples and like the women in the couples who move into these like government subsidized apartment buildings that are, you know, they're put there to kind of like, I mean, they're not put there, but you know, I assume that they like kind of volunteer to move in there to help with the like South Korea's declining birth rate. I don't know. Sounds cool. There's also a cat. Did I point out the cat already? The next book is a book that I've always heard a ton about. I mean, I think it's been around for a while. This is the 10th anniversary edition. It is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Again, I feel like I kind of hear mixed things about this book and like the series, but I thought that this like 10th anniversary edition was gorgeous. I'm like obsessed with the cover. I think it is so cool and so pretty. When I saw it in person, I love the cover so much that I felt like I needed to get it, but also I was shocked to see how like short it was. I don't know why, but I thought that these books were longer, at least that this first book was longer. Maybe I'll do like some sort of like video, or I'll just do a week where I like read some fantasy series and stuff like that, right? Because this is fantasy. I guess really maybe it's like more like sci-fi, but I would want to get to it, especially now knowing that it is pretty short. Like it's not that much of a commitment. I mean, obviously it's a series, there's other books in series, but at least the first book. The next book, unfortunately, has a little bit of a tear from my cat. A few of these books are damaged because of my cats. My cat, well, specifically it's one cat. I'm looking at him right now, actually. He's basking in the sun, being very cute, but when he's not doing that, he likes to chew on my books. So I have to be like very careful where I keep them. In my other room, the bottom shelf is like empty because I can't put anything there because he will chew on them. It's terrible. But this is a book that I've heard so much about, and even though that other book I'm pretty sure is sci-fi, this one I know is sci-fi, and one of my reading goals this year is to read a book from every genre, and I kind of realized I didn't have any sci-fi. So I thought I would pick this one up because a lot of people have been reading it. It seems very easily digestible, and that is The Ministry of Time by Kalian Bradley. I've heard a lot about this book. I feel like most people like it. I I feel like I'm going to like it too. I want to know where I land on this book basically. So I picked it up. I like the cover despite the tear. This next book I actually got from Half Price Books. So again, there's like a couple books here that are not from Barnes & Noble, and this one included. It is You Again by Kate Goldbeck. First of all, that is Adam Driver, right? Like that's Adam Driver. This book has been around for a couple years. It is like a little contemporary romance. Obviously it's giving fall vibes. I haven't read it when the time, like it's always been on my mind. I've always considered reading it around the fall time because I love contemporary romance. At some point it kind of became like my most read genre. And I specifically love kind of like seasonal or holiday based contemporary romances. I really like to stay on theme, especially later half of the year. Finally wanted to get this. I don't think it's like available on Kindle Unlimited, so it like was never easy for me to pick up. And usually the holds at my library would take a really long time. So by the time I got it, it was like winter. I just decided to pick it up at Half Price Books when I saw it there. I don't remember how much it was. I took off the thing, the price tag, but I assume it was probably maybe like $8, which isn't too bad. Next is another book that's definitely a very popular one. I think with a lot of these books, I went with some recent popular books just because, I don't know, I hear a lot of people talking about them, and when I hear people talk about them, it makes me want to read them, it makes me want to buy them. So I got The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This, I believe, is like a literary thriller, which sounds very interesting to me. I read a handful of thriller books last year, and I do really like the genre, but I've yet to find anything that is like close to a 5-star for me in like in that genre. Honestly, I don't even know what that would look like, but maybe that's just because I keep going for kind of like cut and dry thrillers, just like, you know, that is their genre. It's just thriller or like popcorn thrillers. Maybe if this book has more of like a literary aspect, maybe that will finally give me a 5-star thriller. I believe it's like set at a summer camp too. I'm pretty sure. When a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Yep, summer camp. Oh, it's set in 1975. I feel like this is a good summer book because it's set like in a summer camp. Duh. Here we go. Another popular book. I'm sure you saw it in the corner there and you're like, yeah, of course. It's The Will of the Many by James Islington. Again, everyone has been raving about this book and I want to rave about it too. When will I get to this? I don't know. Again, maybe I need to like make an effort to like read popular fantasy sci-fi series or something like that, because otherwise I'm scared that I will never get to it because this book scares me like a little bit. Another reason why I picked it up is because I don't like the new cover. Whether or not it suits it more or not, I'm sure it suits the series more, the new one, because this is like a bit more vague. I mean, this is giving like historical, you know, like it's giving a historical Greek or Roman situation, you know. I don't believe is the case. I mean, I know that this is fantasy, but I think the cover is really pretty. Like I just really like this cover, so I wanted to make sure I got it. We'll just scoot this one over a little bit to make my life a bit easier. Okay, so the next two books I'm going to talk about, these top two I did not get at a bookstore. I got them at like local resale stores, like a charity guild kind of store. So these were super cheap. Obviously you never know what you're gonna get when you go in there, but I think I found one book that I really like. The other one we'll talk about. This one is You Never Forget Your First by Alexis Coe. Obviously it's about George Washington. I did recently get the chance to go see Hamilton, like for free. My cousin got really cheap tickets and just like kind of gave them away, in case you're wondering how I saw it for free. It did make me want to just like read more about the American Revolution. I'm sure everyone has that same reaction when they go see Hamilton. They're like, wait, maybe I should look way more into the American Revolution than like just what was taught to us like however many years ago. I consider myself to be fairly engaged in politics. Like I usually know what's going on. Obviously Hamilton it's a musical. I know some things are surely exaggerated and everything. I was just thinking like, oh, I can kind of tell like, you know, how we got here from there, or like how Americans back then kind of shaped how Americans are today, if that makes sense. Like just the general attitude that Americans have. It's just a very interesting topic to me, and I think, you know, history obviously doesn't repeat itself, but it like is a mirror or whatever people say. Interested to see if I can like if I were to read this book, for example, obviously this is just about one person and not like America as a whole during the American Revolution or like the first years of America. I'm just interested to see if I can kind of see how we got from point A to point B. That's why I picked this up. Also, I think it was like $2, so. Okay, this next book, the one that I said that I didn't necessarily want, I go to these resale stores with my aunt every few weeks or so. It's like something we do together. There was a lot of this book. Like there was like 5 different copies of this book, which you don't really see because it's a resale store and not just like a Goodwill. It's like a you know, a very specific kind of resale store, you know? She saw this and she's like, oh, this must be like popular. And I said, oh, it must be a popular return because there's so many of them, or however they get their books. She basically was like, here, you're taking this, you're taking it home, you're reading it. And it was 50 cents, so whatever. It is Lost in Time by Melissa de la Cruz. I have never heard of this before. I think it's a very popular YA series, like an older one, but I've never heard of it before. I think there are vampires, which sounds like a good time. I mean, will I read this? I don't know, but maybe I will. So I have this book now. You might be able to tell, but I rearranged these so I could put these like last few together because they clearly have a theme. But before we get to that, let's get to the other ones. So obviously I got Sunrise on the Reaping. Oh, I forgot one. Oh my God, I'll be right back. Sorry, I forgot a book. And that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So I got both of these. I've already read the original Hunger Games trilogy and I own the books already. I hadn't read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before because it didn't really interest me, honestly. But this one does interest me. This one definitely interests me. I think some people kind of feel the same way. But I'm one of those people where this interests me and this does not. But I want to read the whole thing. I want to reread the whole trilogy and then read this and then this. Or is it better to read like this, and then the... I'm just gonna read in publication order. It's honestly too bad that this was only in hardback because the rest I have paperback, but it's not that big of a deal. I have both of these books now, so maybe I will read the whole series and vlog it. Maybe. You can't see it, but there is a very tall stack down here. I've been putting all these books into one singular stack at my feet. So hopefully that doesn't end in disaster. The other book that I got at Half Price Books that one time when I went and I got You Again, I got Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. This is just a book I've been wanting to buy and wanting to read. So I got it. I don't know. I've had like people in my life tell me that they like it. I know that it's on the New York Times like best books of the 20th century list. My boyfriend was pointing out that I got a version from before they made the movie or something like that, which I guess is cool. But it's also, I think this is like basically the only cover that they have. I know at Barnes & Noble, they have a new cover for the anniversary edition. I almost got that a while ago, but then I decided not to. And then I ended up just picking up this instead, which is probably better because I saved probably like at least 10 bucks. Okay, and then we're to our last stack of books. Like I said, these all technically fit within the same category. You might be able to tell what it is, you might not, but you probably will. You'll, by the end of the thing, you will know. Ah! It fell. I didn't even touch it. Oh well. They can stay down there. By the end of the stack, you'll be able to know what they're about. First, we have Flirting with Disaster by Naina Kumar. This is a book that's set during a hurricane. I don't know if I'm gonna like that, not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm gonna like that. I mean, you'll be able to know where I live by the end of this stack. But I live somewhere where there's lots of hurricanes, or sometimes there's flooding and there's hurricanes. The flooding, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I typically don't like to think about flooding, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, I do want to say though, actually, I picked this book up and then I saw a few weeks later that there were signed editions and I was kind of sad that I didn't pick up one of the signed editions. I was too quick. I picked it up too soon. Yeah, this is not signed. The next book I have is Terms of Endearment by Larry McMurtry. I think this cover is very cool. I got it from thrift books. I got a couple of these books from thrift books actually. Yeah, I think this cover is really cool. I was glad that I actually got this cover when I chose it on the website. I don't order from there a ton, so I was kind of worried that even though I chose that cover, I'd still get just like sent a random cover, you know what I mean? I'd never seen this cover before. I think it's cool. I do think the edition is a little gross, so we'll see. Like it's a little... That's okay. Oh, it used to be a library book. Owena Humphreys Public Library. If that is your library, now I own one of the books from there. That's from Tennessee. If you live in Whitwell, Tennessee. Another book that I got from thrift books is Catherine Center's Hello Stranger. This is also a library book. This is Vermilion Parish Library from Abbeville, Louisiana. And also it has like the cover and everything. I don't love that, but it is what it is, and I got it on thrift books, so I can't really complain. I've never read anything by Catherine Center. I feel like this is not one of her biggest hits. It's not like The Bodyguard or anything like that, but I chose this book for a specific reason. I'm excited to read her books. I'm curious to see if I like her writing and everything. We can talk about these next two books together just because they're by the same author. So I have Family Meal by Brian Washington, and I also have Memorial by Brian Washington. Brian Washington is a Houston-based author, and I also own Lot by him. I just really want to read his stuff, obviously, since now I own, I think, all of his books. So yes, I got these two. I think I will first read Lot and Memorial. I'll probably also read these like in publication order. I got Houston Noir. Clearly, I told you there'd be a theme. I got this from a local indie bookstore called Brazos Bookstore. If you're in Houston, it is in Rice Village, or like very close to Rice Village. I went there because I actually got Sunrise on the Reaping there. I forgot to mention it, but that is where I got Sunrise on the Reaping. They have a little section that has different Houston books, Houston authors, or like events that they have coming up, or like books where they're mentioned. And there's a few books, like bookstore books, where they're mentioned. And I saw this and thought it was interesting. Each little chapter is a different story, and it's based in a different Houston neighborhood. Clearly, if you haven't guessed, I'm trying to read books that are set in Houston. And I thought this would be a really good one because I could like, you know, see what neighborhood it's in and then really picture like where it is. Even though there's a lot of these neighborhoods I don't even know if I've been to. But Houston Noir. The last one is actually really more of a textbook, so I don't know how interesting it will be to you, but it is Brown Not White. It's School Segregation and the Chicano Movement in Houston. When I was looking at books in Houston, set in Houston, I wanted to read a book about Chicanos in Houston specifically because I consider myself to be Chicana. I was just like looking it up and I found this one. I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then I realized I've taken classes with the person that wrote this book. This is one of my professors. Like I said, this is like, I mean, this is like a textbook, but it's not too long. I just hope that I'm very knowledgeable by the time I'm done with this book. That is the end of this little book haul. It is a lot of books. Like, I'm aware it is a lot of books, and I know that it was a bad idea for me to buy these books because we're like moving in a year and I need to get rid of some books. But these will obviously stay because to me they're newer. I don't know, I'd feel really bad getting rid of these books like immediately. It's like, unless I read them and I don't like them, that's a different story. I kind of realized that I got a lot of books that are outside of my normal genre, which is obviously romance. I read a lot of romance. I have been stepping out of that more recently. And I think that this haul really reflects that. The fact that I got so many books from a lot of different genres, honestly. Hopefully you never see one of these again. I'm not gonna lie, like I hope I never have to make one of these videos again because I don't need to buy books. Even if I had no books, I still feel like I don't really need to buy books. You know what I mean? Let me know if you've read any of these books, if any of them sound extra interesting, or if there's some that you haven't heard of. I just want to know your thoughts. But thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Bye!